April Samuels is a bona fide rocker. She is a drummer. She is a badass. And when she was, I don't know, 40-something years old, she was floored when she was surprisingly diagnosed with breast cancer, triple-negative breast cancer, the aggressive bitch that I know all too well, and she's going to talk about. We are going to talk about what she did because she took a really hands-on, I'm in control approach to her body, to her treatment, to how she lives life after being diagnosed. And I am thrilled to have April Samuels. She is also the host of The Beat, which you can catch monthly every Tuesday. She is the host of Mighty and Metastatic on the first Tuesday of every month. And she hosts the annual triple-negative breast cancer broadcast in March, which I tried to be on and somehow can't manage time zones. So hopefully someday I will get to be April's guest. But April, thank you so much for being on Kicking Cancer's Ass.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And that was an awesome introduction. Thanks so much.
No worries. So let's jump into it.
Yeah.
You went from a diagnosis to double mastectomy in 2 weeks. And if I
Yes.
remember right, you were 41, playing professionally, drummer, which is, so physical.
Yes.
And now, I mean, how did this happen? How'd you find it? Why did you move so fast? And how did you make your choices about reconstruction?
Hey, it's Joelle. Before we get deeper into the episode, click the subscribe button and be part of our growing community of people committed to ensuring everyone can kick cancer's ass in whatever way. And you would help me a ton if you'd leave a review or a comment. If you're on Spotify, please give me 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars and write something. If you're on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and write a comment. This helps so much. And if you want more Kicking Cancer's Ass, you want the in-depth analyses and articles and resources, go over to kcapodcast.com, take a look. You can subscribe for free, or you can become a paid subscriber and get the really meaty, good stuff every week. Thank you for being here. Let's get back to the episode.
Well, gosh, so it takes me back about 7 years before my diagnosis. So it was around 2003, I think. I was diagnosed with fibrocystic breasts. I kept finding lumps and things like that. And so the doctor wanted to be thorough. And so he had me going in for ultrasounds every 6 months. Something I didn't know at the time was that if you have fibrocystic breasts, it increases your risk for breast cancer. It also makes it harder to find breast cancer. So that's why he was so diligent in having me come every 6 months. And I'd been doing this, for 7 years, going and having things aspirated. I'd had several biopsies. It was never anything. So I just wasn't even really worried about it. And then in July of 2010, I went in and they were like, hey, we found something that looks a little different. And I don't know if you experienced this, but you kind of have the screen next to you when they do an ultrasound and you can see what's on the screen and you get used to what things look like. And my cysts used to be like black, like with a blue line around them. And they were usually kind of like oblong or something. They weren't very round or anything like that. And this one was more round, but it had like speckles in it. And so I was like, that does look different. And so they were like, we want you to keep an eye on it and come back, and we're going to do another ultrasound in 3 months. So I came back 3 months later. They did another ultrasound. They were able to confirm that there was blood flow into and out of that spot, and said I needed to go in for a biopsy. It had also grown to twice the size that it was. Now, fortunately, since my doctor was so diligent and having me go every 6 months, it was still early, so it was still quite small. I think it was like 10 millimeters in October of 2010, which is so fun, right? October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, to be diagnosed in that month is nuts.
Right.
So anyway, they said, we want you to go for a biopsy right away. I went for a biopsy. And then I remember it was October 22nd, 2010. My phone rang 9 o'clock in the morning, and my doctor said I had what was called triple negative breast cancer. And probably like you, I'd never heard of triple negative breast cancer. Had you heard of it when you were diagnosed?
So I got a slightly different story because I was 13 when my mother was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. That came back when I was 15. My sister was diagnosed with it when she was 29 and I was 32, triple-negative breast cancer. So when I got the call that said, I'm sorry, it's malignant and it's triple-negative, it was basically like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you saw the train coming for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, now
Wow.
it's my turn to, and April, I don't know if you know my part of the story is that I was going to have a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy the next day.
Wow, wow. Well, you
Yeah.
you were probably thinking about it for so many years with it's being
Yeah.
so high in your family, right? So, wow.
Yeah, but I always hated, and I mean, like I said, you've made a very bold choice with your reconstruction. I hated the idea of having surgery when I wasn't sick. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
it just kind of offended my sensibilities. I actually liked my breasts. They served me well. They fed my children. I had fun with them. I wasn't dying to lope them off, right?
Right, right.
And then about a year before I was diagnosed, I had one of many biopsy scares because that's when you're high risk and you have dense breasts. That's what you get. And I said, yeah, I'm in my 50s. I'm not nursing any more children.
Right.
Perhaps it is time. And so I started the process of exploring prophylactic and then planned it perfectly.
See, that's cool though. You're right. You had all your own options and got to plan it out yourself, which is great.
Yes, but then I was diagnosed the day before and they said, no surgery for you. You get to do chemo.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Come on, pulling the rug out from under you.
very much. Actually, my exact words are, you have to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
was
nuts, man.
literally, but anyhow, you
Yeah.
did not know what triple negative was.
Yeah,
And that had to be a whole, can be very scary,
it was very
deep
scary.
dive.
Yeah, yeah. So my doctor said, get online, look it up, but make sure you're looking at reputable websites. So I went to the American Cancer
Cancer Society.
Society, and I also went to some other well-known breast cancer organizations to learn what I could. And I mean, I printed out, 50 pages, probably easy, to learn more about my diagnosis. And yeah, it was really scary because I learned quickly that it was rare and more likely to recur.
You're researching. It's fascinating because I actually told people, do not send me links. I am well aware. Triple negative is actually more common than you think. I think it accounts for over 20% of breast cancer diagnoses.
Yeah. I think it's like 10 to 15 from what I recall, but it could have
Okay.
definitely gone up since then. I mean, it's been a few years since I looked at that specific stat. But yeah, it was so scary. I was looking into it and learning so many things. But the best part that I learned was I was stage 1 and it responds really well to chemotherapy, like, it responds better to chemotherapy than other, types of breast cancer, so that was really positive, but, out of the gates, I didn't know it was stage 1, and going back to talking about having a double mastectomy and everything, and you were like, "How did you decide that so quickly?" I think whenever I first started having these cysts and just the concept of possibly having breast cancer at some point or another, I was like, "Okay," um if I have breast cancer, I'm just gonna have a double mastectomy because I don't wanna worry about ever having breast cancer again. And to be honest, I've learned a lot since that time.
Hmm.
I was under the false impression that no one told me this, I just kinda thought of it on my own. If you have a double mastectomy, then it lowers your chance of recurrence, as in any kind of recurrence. It does totally lower and do away with your chance of local recurrence, except for on your chest wall, but it doesn't do away with the recurrence of possible metastatic breast cancer. Because if your cancer is already spread about, then it's gonna happen no matter what you do. But regardless, I did decide to have a double mastectomy, and I was in a much different scenario than you. My breasts were not that important to me. I was always flat. I got made fun of when I was younger, so they're like, "Oh, you look like a 12-year-old boy with your shirt off," and just crap like that. Yeah, it's awesome. And so I wasn't really, super attached one way or the other. It was kind of funny because when I had the double mastectomy, I didn't really figure it would be that big of a difference because I just wasn't well endowed. So when I had the double mastectomy, I was actually surprised at how flat I became. Because I was like, wow, this is really flat. But I haven't doubted that decision for even a second. I've been comfortable with it. I did start wearing prosthetics like right away. So I do wear prosthetics. They're comfortable for me. In fact, when I went and got fitted for them, I remember I cried there in the dressing room with the fitter because they were the same weight and size and everything as what I was before. It felt identical. And so it was just really cool.
So were you crying with relief or were you crying for what you
Happiness.
lost?
No,
Okay.
happiness. Like, I was
Happiness.
happy that it felt like I did before, and I looked like I did before. Like, if I had a
Right.
shirt on and I had my prosthetics on, I looked exactly like I did prior to the double mastectomy, and so that gave me a lot of comfort.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I had the benefit of, my mother had had a bilateral with deep. She actually had a unilateral and then later had a prophylactic secondary and did the deep. So I saw that. And my sister had a bilateral with implants. So I literally had a up close and personal review of those two options.
Wow. Yeah, I'll bet so, and then you got to get a lot of opinions and ask a lot of questions, I bet, too, before you made your decision?
I did. And I also, doesn't sound like you had any, did you have chemotherapy as well?
I did.
So they did your surgery first.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they've changed that protocol in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I've heard that. I know that at that time, the rule was if it was under a certain size, then they were gonna do surgery for first, and then if it was over a certain size, then they were gonna do chemo first.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I've heard that as well. It is everything's man, things change at, like, lightning speed, don't they? It's
So
nuts.
fast, so
Yeah.
fast. Now, do you and your partner, I know you're married, do the 2 of you have kids or no? Because I wanted to talk about genetics for a moment.
Yeah, no, I did not have kids. Me and my partner weren't together at this time. I
Okay.
was with somebody else, and I didn't have any children. I was thinking at some point about having kids,
Mhm.
and, I remember, going through chemotherapy put you in menopause, and then
Yep.
once I came out of it, everything was just completely whacked, and every 2 weeks or every 3 months, it's just you couldn't guess when things were gonna happen. And then when I finally went into full-on menopause, I did experience some sadness about, feeling like having kids was gonna be part of my life.
Mhm.
Just when you're growing up, you just assume that that's part of it, right?
Mhm.
But I've come to terms with it, and I don't think I was meant to have kids. I think I was just meant to rock out and play drums
That's
and do
awesome.
this nonprofit.
That is awesome, and, yeah, as you know, historically, there's no prevention for triple negative other than the surgery, right?
Right.
So there's an episode, it'll come out before your episode is live because it's coming out the day after we recorded this.
Okay.
There's a study that Dr. Sasha Howell did published in Nature magazine about using an antiprogestin, which is actually in the United States available for emergency contraception. But if you take it for 3 months on and then not for 9, starting when you're a late teenager, these pulses dramatically reduce the incidence of triple negative breast cancer.
Wow,
Bec-
that's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? So
That's so
I
cool.
hope everyone goes back and watches Dr. Sasha Howell's episode because if you're worried about triple negative and you're genetic, you should be on this. If you're worried about triple negative because you have fibrous breasts, you should be looking at this drug. It's been around for 20 years. It's like
Wow,
well known. So
that's
very, very
awesome.
cool stuff happening in triple negative land. But
I can't wait to hear that interview too. That'll be awesome.
he's amazing. Amazing. So you made this decision. I'm going to take this risk off the table. And you had to have chemotherapy. And you're doing this podcast, Mighty and Metastatic. So I'm going to guess there's a round 2 coming in this story.
No, fortunately, there is not.
Oh,
I have many friends in my life who have had metastatic cancer, and it just became clear to me that their voice isn't being heard as much. There's so much talk about, survivors and people who have beat breast cancer or what have you, which is great. It's so awesome that that's the majority now. But still is that group of people that have metastatic breast cancer, and I really just felt called to have their voices heard. And so I have a co-host on that show, is a good friend of mine. She's a bass player, and she goes by the Goddess of Thunder,
I love
Kim
it.
Lusk. Yeah, and she's metastatic triple negative breast cancer, and so she's my co-host on those shows, and we basically talk about everything physical, emotional, planning, life planning, um, just anything that could relate to anybody going through metastatic breast cancer. It's just really important to me. I've lost several friends to it.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. When I was researching my book, I was really nervous the first time I was going to talk to someone who was stage 4, and she just blew my mind.
Yeah.
She was so vibrant and amazing, and, I mean, she was real about, like, she was 37, it was a gut punch.
Yeah.
Um, and she's currently ned, and she hopes to outlive when every treatment stops working so she can keep going. But,
So awesome.
just grabbing life by the, cojones.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is all those ladies with metastatic breast cancer, they're just such a huge inspiration.
Mhm.
Truly, truly are. I know a woman who's had stage 4 breast cancer for over 20 years. And she's the wife of the Dallas Stars manager. And she's such a huge inspiration. And I just want to get those stories out there to people. It's always been about hope for me.
Me too. The reason I did the book and this podcast is because, the reaction when someone says cancer is I'm gonna die. And I mean, we're all gonna die, but for some people, unfortunately, that is what that diagnosis means. But for a lot of people, even the mighty metastatic, it doesn't mean that's imminent.
That's right. Yeah.
And that means there's a lot of living and a lot of life. And, the cancer filter just clarifies like, this is what I want to spend time on, and this is not.
Oh, yeah, it totally fixes your perspective of everything. You know, it changes the way you look at everything, and you realize, "Hey, this is the one life I've got. I need to spend it doing things that I love and doing things that are meaningful to me."
So, speaking of meaningful, uh, within 2 weeks of your diagnosis, 3 weeks, you decided you're going to start a nonprofit and you're selling shirts out of your car, and breast cancer can stick it. Like,
Yeah.
how did this come up?
Oh, man, I've always been huge into marketing. I was a band manager for many years growing up. I worked at booking, I was a booking agent for several clubs. Uh, I put on several different benefits and different things in my life, growing up, and it just seemed so natural. Honestly, it was like it felt like everything that had happened in my life up to that moment was leading to this nonprofit. Um, yeah, so within just a couple of weeks, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a graphic artist. I was like, "Hey, can you do something like breast cancer beat it or breast cancer could stick it or something like do some kind of image or whatever." And she came back with this really cool image of this chick behind a drum set. It says breast cancer could stick it on the bass drum head. And
Awesome.
I was like, that's amazing. Let's run with that, you know? And so I started selling shirts and raising funds for other local nonprofits for the fight against breast cancer. And I just started raising so much in funds. Like I was on the top honor roll of all these nonprofits and just raising an enormous amount of funds. And my accountant was just like, "You're raising so much in funds. You should just become a nonprofit." And that was probably a couple of years into it, I
Hmm.
think, of selling just the T-shirts and whatnot. And by 2013, May of 2013, we were official 501(c)(3),
Hmm.
raising funds for financial assistance for treatment, mammograms, and for research and trials, and it's just become my life's work. Like I said, it feels like my whole life led to this moment, to do this.
Well, and you created something called Drumathon. Can you tell
Yes.
us about Drumathon and the people you bring and kind of what that whole vibe is like?
Oh my
And
god.
send me videos.
Oh, totally, I will. It's so cool, man. We started doing Drumathon in 2015, and it was born from a friend of mine who used to do something called Drumathon in Plano, Texas, in the '80s. And what they would do is they would go door to door. A few drummers would go door to door and get people to sponsor them, and then they would play as long as they could play for just a few drummers play as long as they could play, and then they would raise funds by doing that. Well, I was like, what if we kind of flip that and instead of having a small amount of drummers playing a lot, have a lot of drummers playing a little? And so what we did is we created an online campaign where people can sign up to fundraise like you would for a walk. And the top 25 fundraising drummers get a 1 minute solo on stage. And then they also get half price to drum alongside of a celebrity if they want to do that. We have two drum sets up on the stage at the event. And so the majority of the funds are raised in advance of the day of Drumathon. But the day of Drumathon, we do have celebrity drummers coming to town. We've had probably about 40 different celebrity drummers from all kinds of different genres. We've had the drummer from Pink, drummers from Jason Aldean, Luke Combs, Luke Bryan. We've had the Go-Go's drummer, Gina Shock. We've had the drummer from Prince, drummer from Hole. So many drummers. Like I said, 35 to 40 celebrity drummers have come into town. We have between 3 to maybe 9 per event. And it's just a really cool opportunity to get to hang with these celebrities and raise funds. So we have like an autograph booth, we have a photo booth, and then there's 30 minutes slots throughout the day where a celebrity will get up on stage, they'll play a solo or along with a track, and then after that, you can get up and play on stage with them. It doesn't matter if you're a drummer or not. If you're
Mhm.
just like walking by and you see the event happening, you could be like, "Oh my God, I could be up on stage with Pink's drummer," and you just donate some money, get up on stage, and jam alongside of it. It's a really cool and unique event. And I got the idea because right after I finished breast cancer treatment, my chemotherapy in April of 2011, I decided I'd spend a lot of money on something I didn't want to do. So I wanted to spend a bunch of money on something I did want to do. And I went to rock and roll fantasy camp and got
I've
to
done that
jam.
too.
Isn't that awesome, dude?
It was great. Tell me about yours. I'll tell you about mine.
Yeah, yeah. So I went to the one. I'm a huge Van Halen fan, and so I went to the one that Sammy Hagar was at in 2011.
Mhm.
I got to jam with him and Rudy Sarzo. My counselor, who I'm still in touch with, was Kip Winger, which was awesome. He
So
was,
was
in
mine
my opinion,
first time.
isn't he awesome?
Oh my God, what a great human being.
Yes, he's amazing. It's such a talent. I mean, just
Oh,
so talented.
agreed.
The guy singing like he does to the degree he does now is just amazing, and writing for, symphonies for, ballets and whatnot. It's so cool. But it was an amazing event, and I just thought this is such a cool thing to get to come here and jam with celebrities. And I thought, what if we did something, to highlight drummers specifically and use
Mhm.
that to raise funds? So that's what the day of it looks like. You just get up there and jam with them. You can go to by
Love
the
it.
autograph booth, the photo booth, and we've got auctions. We've got our breast cancer can stick it merch. We also have like a warrior wall where you can write the name of somebody you want to honor or memorialize and put the ribbon on the wall. We have a moment where all the breast cancer survivors and warriors get to come up on stage and get a picture with all of the celebrities. We had our breast cancer survivor band play this last year. That's the first start of that. It's just a really, really cool event, and there's always a point in the day where it just sort of like hits you about what you're doing and how meaningful it is, and just all the people in the community coming together to help others in the community. And it's just like every time there's a point where I just have to stand there and just go, wow. And it's just kind of overwhelmed, with emotion. So it's a really cool thing.
It's amazing. So, where and when is Drumathon?
Drumathon is held in the Dallas, Texas area. This year it will be at Legacy Hall. It's Lexus Box Garden at Legacy Hall in Plano, Texas. It's where we held it last year. The date will be announced next month. And then we're also going to be doing our first ever Drumathon in Nashville in July. And so the details are going to be coming out about that this week.
Okay, so I'm moving to Nashville.
Yeah,
I am, literally.
that's amazing. That's awesome.
And I want to know how I get into the breast survivor band because I'm a singer
Oh, dude,
and
you're in.
know. All right, I want to be in. I want to be in. I want to be part of it.
Yes.
And I did rock and roll fantasy camp twice.
Uh huh.
Once in the Bay Area with Kip Winger, and in that time they were still doing something where you could audition for the Masters band.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
so I show up. I'm late because that's a chronic problem for me. And they're basically like, get on stage. You're up. And they'd given us like 20, 30 songs, and they just called, you do this. And you're playing with a bunch of people. You know how it goes. You don't know these
Yeah,
people.
right.
And so
And
they
there are different
call.
skill levels too a lot of the times, but it
Well,
sounds like this
luckily,
one
this
was
was
a
the
higher one.
masters. This was the
Yeah.
masters tryout. So everyone thought they were good enough to try to be in the masters band, and so they called. Oh God, a little foot stomping music. And so I start doing Grad Funk Railroad, and it's all good. And I look out, and you know how it is in rock and roll fantasy camp. You can look out into the audience, and you know who are the accountants and who are the rock stars.
Yes.
Okay, no harm to the accountants. A bunch of them were in my
Right.
band, but you're looking out, and this one guy, he's got this beautiful white hair, and he's wearing a black leather vest, and he's got it tied back, and he is jamming. I have no idea who he is. That night, they play for us, which was totally awesome. I don't get to be around professional musicians like you do, and I'm just awed by the talent. But they blew an amp in the middle of the set.
Oh my gosh.
And so, they're kind of all looking at each other. And the guy with the white hair and the black vest jumps over to the keyboards and starts playing the riff to a little foot stomping music. And, they had a bass, they had things, and they can fix the guitar amp while they're going. So they start playing that song. And that's when I realized it was Mark Varner and it was his song.
Oh, that's so awesome. He's amazing too. He was at my camp as well. It's like we had a lot of
Amazing.
the same folks.
Yeah. And then I did it. My master's band came back in 2015, and that's when we played with Rudy Sarzo.
Oh, that's so cool. And
So,
he's
but
he's a great human being too.
a great human being. But
Yeah.
I'm in for Drumathon, Nashville, Plano. I don't care where it is. I think it's awesome. Have you ever been to Brazil and seen the schools, the samba schools with the drummers?
No, no, I haven't.
Oh, April, this has to get on your bucket list. So imagine it's hot as hell.
Right.
It's they do it at night. There are 200 drummers per school, and there are 13 schools. They do it over 2 nights. And they have 1 hour to go 1 kilometer. And there's music and dancing, whatever, but it's the drums. It's the drums that make the whole thing. And
Yeah.
200 drums
Oh my
in
gosh.
unbelievable. And by the way, it's like 100 degrees, and they're wearing these drums strapped to their bodies, and they're
Oh
going.
my gosh. Wow.
So Rio, that's what they do in Rio, and it is. If you like music, it's great. If you like drumming, it's like Mecca.
Heaven. Yeah, yeah. I have
Right.
to check that out on YouTube and see what's up. That sounds amazing, man.
It is so amazing. Okay, let's
Uh,
get back to cancer. Although like drumming and music is fun, I love that you took your energy and said, "How can I help other people?" And the thing I love about a beat, like everybody can move with it. Like, you just it doesn't matter what's going on in your body. Even if you're just tapping a toe, you can get into it a little bit. So I
yeah.
just think it's so accessible. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it can reach anybody. Really
Hmm.
can.
And it
I agree with
does.
that.
It can't
Mhm.
you can't resist it.
Yeah.
Like it's the heart. All right.
Love that.
So on the Beat broadcast, my understanding is you're pairing survivors with musicians, clinicians. You're having all these conversations. What do you find that survivors or even the mighty metastatic say to each other that they don't say to their doctors or their families?
I've noticed that a lot of what they talk about is more detail of either physical or emotional trauma. Um, and I think that the reason they say it to each other and not to their families or friends is because, when they're talking to their family and friends, they recognize that they don't want to have to be consoling them at the same time, you know? And so that's why I think it's so important to have a community of survivors and metastatic warriors that can talk to one another and be open about how they're feeling and what they're going through and share those experiences.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You don't want I have like a allergic reaction to pity. And so the puppy dog eyes, the oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, please don't.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, yeah, there's some bad shit.
yeah,
No question. The impact of chemotherapy on my GI tract was not something I wanted to talk with my partner about, but
yeah,
it was unpleasant
yeah. Totally, totally.
and temporary. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
thankfully.
yeah, you also you said you're with a new you found new love after your mastectomy going flat, after this whole experience.
Mhm.
Was was that at all uncomfortable, insecure, or were you how did that go for you?
That's such a great question, and no one really asked me that, so I really appreciate that question. I feel really, blessed in that the people that I surround myself with are just amazing humans, and I seem to draw people to this cause and to, my journey that are just wonderful people. So there was never even an instant that that was a thing. That's never been a thing with anybody, in my life ever, not even close.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is, because, I mean, I don't know how I would be if the tables were turned. I mean, it could be a thing, but, I mean, I like to think obviously, I wouldn't care, but you don't know if you're in that position, but, I mean, everybody's just been very accepting and supportive, and, honestly, we make jokes at times and things like that, so it's all good, I'm just very lucky with the people in my life.
Well, and I think when you're putting out what you call, blessings, when you're open to them, they come to you. So, I tend to shock people not intentionally when I tell them that, my cancer year truly became one of the happiest years of my life. And I never felt more love, more connection, more care than I did in that year. And trying to hold on to those feelings has been really important to me. You've called it an odd, really odd blessing. And
Yeah.
so I'd love to know what you mean. And, how do you say that to someone who's just found a lump or been told to come back for a biopsy?
Right. Yeah, that is rough. And when I say that it's a blessing, I know one of the things that I tell people is when I went through breast cancer, it was almost like being at your own funeral, because everybody around you tells you how they feel about you when they otherwise probably wouldn't have taken that opportunity. Um, and then people just come out of the woodwork that love you, that you didn't realize even noticed you around or whatever.
Mhm.
So that's one aspect of the blessing, and like I mentioned before, the whole perspective thing, I mean, it just changed my perspective in a brilliant way. It was just something that I think no one can experience unless they go through some kind of major trauma. I almost wish everybody could have something like that, because it changes the way you live your life for the better. Um, and then lastly, in that it helped me find my calling in life. I say this to people all the time, is that when I was playing drums growing up as a kid, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a rock star and tour the world and all this stuff." And I mean, I'm considered a professional drummer now, but I'm not touring the world. I'm not, like out playing drums for Madonna or something. You know what I mean? I'm just playing regionally, and I do some national stuff, but I'm definitely not touring the world. And I kept wondering, like, what is this about? Like, I know my heart is here, and this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be drumming, you know? And I just wondered where it was going. And when I got that diagnosis, it was just like a smack in the face. And it was like, your purpose is to combine your passion for drumming and your passion for helping others and start this organization and just make a difference. And I really put everything into it. It's like I said, my life's work, and um, I just love it. I feel like I'm in the right place.
That is fantastic. So you have raised over $500,000. Do I have the number right? Or is that per
Yeah,
year?
it's nearing 700,000 now,
Wow.
total. Yeah, total.
Wow. And Drumathon, you're now expanding because there's going to be
Yep.
two,
Yes, ma'am.
and I'm going to be at them. I'm so
Yes, you
excited.
are.
I'm
I'm gonna
so excited.
make sure you're there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. All right, I want to do a lightning round. These are quick. Just what pops into your mind. All right, ready?
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Did you play any music to pump yourself up before chemo? And if you did, what was your pump up song?
I didn't play anything before chemo, but I will say right now, if I was going to, I would play "Still the Night" by Whitesnake,
Whew. All
because
right,
that's a pretty happening song to play.
absolutely. All right. When we were talking in the prep, we talked about, you said you're playing regionally, but you're a professional musician. You're playing 120 gigs a year, and you seem to have a good sense of humor. So, is humor also part of the mix with the drumming and the purpose, or is that just kind of just you?
100%, especially playing with Metal Shop. We wear spandex and the guys wear guy liner. We have choreographed stuff. We're playing 80s music. You gotta have humor. Humor is awesome. And like I said, we crack little jokes about me not having breasts all the time, saying, "Where are my foobies?" My friends call them chicken cutlets, you know? You just have to.
That's great. And I guess that normalizes it. Like, nobody gets through life unscathed.
That's right.
We all have stuff. So,
Yep,
you know,
totally.
all right, what's one thing you believe every woman should know about her breasts that most do not?
That if you have fibrocystic breasts, you need to be getting screened more frequently.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Wisdom Study?
I have not.
Okay, so it's 47,000 women. It's been run by Dr. Esserman and a number of other doctors, but they are they've enrolled women who haven't had breast cancer, are between the ages of 30 and 50, and they are doing risk-adjusted screening. So if you have fibrocystic breasts, and they also do a bunch of different genetic screens and polygenomic screening. But they've actually been able to say, like, we can figure out who should be screened every 6 months, who
That's
could go
amazing.
2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
And so it's free and it's available to everyone, not you and me because we've had breast cancer, but everyone
Right.
we know. So I like to tell people about wisdom. All right, what's the best piece of advice you got from somebody who went through it ahead of you?
Knowledge is power, definitely, because, that was so important to me. It kept me from being scared as much,
Hmm.
and it helped me to feel more in control.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Sometimes people are afraid to ask a question because they're afraid of the answer.
Mhm.
But I think, with an answer, you can make some choices.
Yep,
Uh,
exactly, yep. I'm more scared to not know.
yeah. So, what is your advice, April, for someone who wants to kick cancer's ass?
Man, just have hope, that's the biggest thing, you know? Have hope. Also, you're stronger than you ever thought you could be, trust me. I look back now and I'm like, "How the hell did I go through that?" You know? Trust me, you can do it all.
I also like to tell people is you are not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are not alone. Whether you reach out to people online or through nonprofits like Stick It, Breast Cancer Can Stick It, or your clergy or your hospital, you do not have to do this alone.
So true.
And it's the club no one wants to join, but it's full of the best people.
Oh my gosh, so many awesome people. I've met some of my best friends are breast cancer survivors now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
So this has been awesome, April. I'm so honored that you came on my show and that you shared your purpose, your vision, your mission with my listeners. And I'm hopeful that I can help drive even more awareness of the Drumathon and Breast Cancer Can Stick It, because breast cancer can stick it.
That's right, man. Thank you so much for having me on. And I look forward to talking with you more too. I know we have a lot of things we could share, so that's super helpful, and I would love that.
Well, and clearly we're going to jam.
Heck yeah. Amen, girl.
Amen.